While debugging, I found that my React state had reset correctly, but dnd-kit's internal sortable state was still showing the old order. In this video, we'll look at why that happened and the fix I used to get the UI back in sync. Essentially, what I have here is I have this rules list here, and it's sortable, right? You can drag and drop and resort them, and you can see the priority changes. That's a master list. It's an array of these guys that get passed in. So that would be a master list that is specific to a sport. Well, obviously, when you're logged in, when we eventually have this thing completely built out and you're logged in and you've created a tournament and now you're going to set the rules for that tournament, you may need other attributes beyond what that particular object, that sports level object, has. And so I was thinking, I don't want to change the default priority on which is on that particular object. I want to have a separate object that maybe has priorities that extends that one, right? So I decided innocently, quick change, right? Famous last words, to go in here and change this type. So now I'm going to come in here, and this is the sport ranking rule. So if you're not familiar, you can familiarize yourself a little bit. Not much here, just the default priority is here is what we were dealing with. Well, I want a sort priority because I want to be able to maintain. I want to be able to go back to the default priorities if I need to, right? If I decide to have a reset button on that screen to go back, I need to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create just real quick a interface here that has, we'll call it tournament ranking rule. And it's going to extend sport ranking rule. And then we're going to add a sort priority here. And that sort priority is either going to be a number or a null. There we go. So now we have should be rule, not rules. So now we have the interface for this. Okay, so I'm going to flip back to the qualifying rules. Now, what I need to do is, since I'm not going to alter what I'm getting eventually from the database, right? I'm not going to alter this type. I'm happy with receiving the master list of rules, but I need to be able to convert these so that the rest of my component operates with the tournament ranking rule, right? Instead of the sport ranking rule, right? So what I'm going to do here is this is going to have to change a little bit. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, just real quick, if not rules, if there are no rules, then just return, right? And then I'm gonna get rid of this little bit of logic here. That's why. And then what I need to do is I need to create another function that will actually convert these. So I'm gonna right now I'm just gonna name something like convert sport rankings to team rankings. Okay, and then pass the rules in. My rule on long names is if it's clear, I don't care. Some people are like, you need to name functions really short things. I'm always, if you spell them out and it makes them clearer, so be it. Anyway, that's just my own opinion. So what I need to do now is I want to create I don't want to leave this code in here because I want it to be potentially reusable, and I don't want to muck up this component with that logic. So I'm going to say data conversion util .ts, and we're going to create a quick function here that's, and I didn't copy it, did I? I didn't copy the name. Here we go. And it's going to take in it's going to take in a list of sport rankings because we're going to take that and convert it, right? And then sport ranking rule array. Good. And it imported our type here. So now let's come down here and take these sports rankings, which of course I just realized these should be rules, not rankings. Good job. So really the entity that we're looking at is rules, not rankings. So I'm going to have to change it on the other side too in a moment, but yeah. par for the course for me. All right, sports rules. And so I'm going to be returning these, but I'm going to be returning them in a different format with the new sort priority that we added on, right? So what we want to do is we want to walk through all of these, SR, and we're going to arrow function these, whoops, and we're going to say, please get all of the properties of this, and then add sort priority on with the default of null, which is fine, right? Then just want to sort these, and sort takes in two params, an A and a B essentially, and then A dot default priority minus B dot default priority. The output of this, whether it's positive or negative, determines how it sorts. So that is, I believe, it for this function, other than that we need to go back now, save this, go back now, and change the name of this to the rules, which makes a little more sense, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do this, and that should be good. We should be all good here. Let's do a checkup, make sure everything's still going. So when we first load, it is going and getting these rules, at least we know, successfully, and converting them. So that's good. Now what we want to do to test out what I was saying and get to the issues that I had, we're going to add a button here, and we're going to say on click equals reset rules. And that's not created yet, so oops, and I misnamed this. I think that needs to be like that. And then I'll say like reset rules, just as a indicator to the user. Now I need to create a function here that says function reset rules. So we're going to reset these rules using the new function we created. So we have the convert, and we're going to pass the rules in, right? And it probably doesn't like that because it's null. So I'm going to fix that real quick. I'm just going to say if not rules. So if we don't have any rules, let's just return from here, because we're not going to be doing any sorting, and that clears that up. Good. So now we have this. Now I'm going to show you what we currently have here in the UI. So obviously we have the ability to take these and drag and drop them like we could before, and you can see it recalculates what the priority is. So this is third now from first. Now, if I click this, I expect these to reposition themselves back the way they were. Now, if you'll notice, they didn't, but they did actually set the correct value here. And this is the problem I came across, and it actually turned into two problems. So I'm going to cover that with you now. Okay, so let's jump back to qualifying rules. And so in troubleshooting this, what I want to see is, I believe that the problem is somewhere in here. So I want to see is that this function that I've created is returning the correct rules, and that React is actually rendering them properly. So I'm going to copy this and put it up here as a duplicate. Get rid of this and just write out a rule.label so we can see at the top of the screen what oops, it's R. What React thinks versus what this internal sorting by the dnd-kit is thinking. Because the dnd-kit caches the sorted results, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But let's save this off and then come back in here, and we can see that it's showing the list, and these match right now, right? Points, goal difference. So I'm going to go through the same operation I did before. I'm going to drop this to the fourth spot, right? And you can see it changed up here. So all good right there. When I click reset, you can see that React responded and put these in the correct order. It put them back in order, but this didn't. So that tells me that the problem lies in here, not not anything to do with what we just created or whatever. So to further like lock this in so that you understand what I'm talking about, I had Claude create me like a sample so I could show you a more basic example instead of staring at code on a screen, and a lot more code probably than you need to see. So you can see here we have an example here, and you can think of this as the rules that we have, right? So here's the list and the three rules. We have A, B, and C. This is the state we're in, and it's fine. So when we first resort them, we're fine. React is in the correct state and the library cache is in the correct state. The problem is next when we click reset, okay, what happens is this is where these get out of sync. React still thinks that it's an ABC order. It still thinks that this guy exists under a list item that's first, but actually what it is it's B, right? So what we need to do is what my solution was, at least, and if you have a better solution, that's fine. We need to create a reset key that updates every time we click the reset button, so that we can pass that key in, which will be different, and it will trigger a remount of all of the values in that draggable component where the sortable dnd-kit library resides. So hopefully, right, once we do that, then they'll agree and they'll update at the same time. So let's jump back into the code now. Okay, cool. So we're back here in code. So what I need to do is create the reset key that will drive the remount of the dnd-kit sortable list. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to create a key. Oops, and it's going to be called reset key and set reset key. Of course, this is going to be a useState hook that defaults to 0. Okay, and so I'm going to take this reset key and I'm going to say, okay, every time we reset the rules, we want to set a new key here. So we're going to say reset key, and it'll be just something basic, excuse me, something basic where it's like k equals k plus 1. So we'll be assured that it will get, oh, set reset key. Sorry, losing my mind there. So there we go. And space that a little bit. And now we want to change this key. So let's see if I can do this without embarrassing myself. What I'm going to need is a open brace, that $sign. We're going to add the reset key to this key. Reset key, there we go. And we want to end that like that. And you know what I just did? I added it to the, this is a good example of why you do not want to leave old code around, right? I put it in the wrong spot. So let's do that and let's learn our lesson and get rid of that. That was the earlier example up top I was showing you. So close this, and now let's go back in here. All right, so now I've removed that list so you won't see it, the second list. So now we're gonna go, boom, does that, and then reset. Now it works, or does it? Let me switch to a browser now and show you something internally that you might be interested in seeing. Okay, so now we're in the browser window here, right? And you can see, I'm showing you the elements here, and you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elements that all match this, right? So seemingly this was working, but watch this. When I drag and drop this into the second position and these two switch, it looks like they work well, right? But look at this. It emptied the second one and put both into the first. So you'll see it ordered them correctly here. Goal differential and points. So it did order them right, but this guy should actually be in this list item, not the other way around. And this has to do with where I'm refing, what element I'm actually refing on for the dnd-kit sorting library. So I'll show you that in the code. But you can see where this silently fails. And then eventually, if you have to remount and React has to remove something, it might think it's in this location and blow up. So you can see that that could be a huge problem. So we're going to fix this in code now. Okay, so we're back in the code now, and I'm going to show you what we need to do. I want this component that we're running through in the list to be the highest level component inside this loop. I want to remove this list item, and I want to move it into the draggable rule component. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to transition, since this is important to get the actual remount done, I'm going to transition the key to here, and I'm going to get rid of these list item elements, or that list item element here, and just reposition this nicely. Okay, so that should be all we need to do here. Now what I want to do is I want to go into the draggable, right? And I want to have an li in here that wraps this entire thing to keep it consistent in our unordered list, right? But I want to move, remember, if you remember, the ref is essentially the handle for the sortable, right? That's the element that we're moving around. I want to put the ref at this level so it picks it up. And I'm going to save that. Now let's move back into the browser. Let's refresh this. So you can see we have our 8 elements here again. Now let's sort these now. And I just sorted that one, and you can see now, look, it's keeping in its own element container, right? It's the proper one. See points. So again, some of you might be like, well, no duh, that would happen. If you have it referencing in the wrong spot. I just think it's important to, as a sort of a reminder, that things seemingly can be working, but you always need to really truly check inside to see what's going on and make sure everything's working properly, because errors like that are silent, they might ripple up later on down the line, and you might have no idea why. Anyway, so thanks for watching this. This was kind of a between an 8 and 9 sort of episode thing. That I thought was like kind of a good something to go over that goes into some depth about the dnd-kit and React. I'm looking forward to now doing the toggle and inputs in episode 9. See you then.